Hello. Today I will talk about how only those who can extract the spirit from a person possessed by a ghost can perform Chando during the 49-day ceremony or Chando ceremony. Those who cannot do this cannot perform Chando. It's all lies. Originally, there is no spirit inherently present. Rather, many people live with spirits entering their bodies during their lives. These people cannot perform Chando on the spirit, so they end up accepting the spirit and opening a fortune-telling house. Whether it's a person hosting a spirit, someone holding the 49-day ceremony for a deceased parent, or conducting a fetal Chando ceremony, it's all the same. Since spirits cannot undergo Chando, they are simply accepted and kept to run fortune-telling houses. When a person dies, they become a ghost and attached to the living, which is how these houses operate. It's not as if an animal dies, the animal's spirit enters the body to run a fortune-telling house. So whether you're holding the 49-day ceremony for the dead or trying to perform Chando for a spirit attached to the body, it's the same. Only those with the ability to perform Chando on an attached spirit can perform Chando for someone else's ancestor. And yes, it is possible to perform Chando through the 49-day ceremony after death, but only if one has the ability to extract the ghost from a possessed person. Only such a person can perform Chando when someone dies. Those who cannot do this cannot perform Chando, and if they claim they can, it is a lie. They are just doing this to make money. This isn't just my opinion. Reflect on this yourselves in reality. You must have the ability to perform Chando on such a person to actually perform Chando. If you don't have that ability, then you can't perform Chando, right? Do you know how many people in Korea are currently possessed by ghosts? There are millions. One must have the ability to remove those ghosts and send them to a good place through Chando. Only then can you claim the ability to perform the 49-day ceremony or ancestor Chando after death. How can someone who can't even do that claim to perform Chando? Claims of performing Chando now are all lies. These people lack spiritual power and ability, but act as if they know something, taking money for performing Chando on others' ancestors, or taking money at temples for 49-day ceremonies when someone's parent dies. None of it is true Chando. It is all lies. Chando is not happening. Never mind the 49-day ceremony for a deceased parent. Try removing a ghost from a possessed person and perform Chando. Can you do it? It's the same thing, right? So all current claims of being able to perform Chando are complete lies. Even the monks on TV who babble nonsense are all lying. Don't believe what they say. It's all lies. These monks don't have the ability, don't know anything about Chando, yet they accept money and perform Chando ceremonies for people's beloved deceased parents. How can such behavior be that of an enlightenment learner? Anyone with eyes and ears can tell right away. Try removing a ghost from a possessed person. Go to a shaman or spiritualist who hosts a spirit. Do you think normal people would be doing that? If normal people were doing such things, they'd be reported as frauds. That's how desperate they are, unable to remove the spirit attached to them, even after performing Chando ceremonies all over the country. So in desperation, they accept the spirit and run a fortune-telling house. It's always the ghost of a dead human that enters, not some animal spirit entering their body. When a person dies, anyone becomes a ghost. I learned the enlightenment. I am a disciple of Buddha. Like this, they think they will go to a good place when they die. But then, is Buddha alive now? They have all passed away and disappeared now. They are not alive now. However, needlessly disguising the non-existent Buddha as if he exists and saying such things every day while sitting around is telling lies. If you have eyes and ears but cannot even understand that, you are not a person who deserves to eat. If you cannot even understand such talk, what kind of person is that? Therefore, listen carefully to what I say and try to judge. How difficult must it have been, with a spirit entering the body, unable to perform Chando? How hard must it have been that they would receive a spirit and run such a fortune-telling business? If someone claims to have spiritual power, if they claim to be a monk who knows and learned a little something, if they claim to have ability, then take such people possessed by a spirit, perform Chando yourself. Try detaching the spirit attached to the body and performing Chando. You must have such ability to perform the 49-day funeral ceremony, or to have the ability to perform Chando for others' ancestors and send them to a good place. Being unable to do even that, yet taking money and performing Chando ceremonies, what kind of enlightenment learner does such useless things? It is all acts done by crazy people. There are monks who don't even know that and appear on broadcasts mumbling on and on. It is all lies. One must have the ability to perform Chando oneself, to come out and give sermons about whether a Chando ceremony is this or that, and to mention it. People who cannot do such things do not know how to do it, do not know the method, and have no ability, should not even utter the first syllable of Chando. They do not have the right to speak. Buddhist broadcasts are also run by crazy people. They should know something before broadcasting. What are they doing seating monks who know nothing and letting them mumble on and on? They should know something before speaking. Since they are broadcasting monks who know nothing, aren't they all the same kind of people? If you listen to what they say on broadcasts, speaking in that manner is not religion. That is Taoism. It is not Buddhism, but Taoism. So why do people who believe in Taoism talk about Buddhism? And a religion practiced without enlightenment, that is Taoism, not Buddhism. People who just pray without enlightenment, try to receive the grace of prayer, say there is grace in prayer and speak like this on broadcasts, those monks are all Hinayana. It is the act of Hinayana, not the words of Mahayana. That is not religion and not Buddhism. Monks who speak like that are exhibiting the behavior of people who believe in Taoism. When I didn't know in the past, I was once at a very large temple with a large community of monks and an enormous number of the faithful. The head monk of that temple was rumored to be an enlightened master, and countless numbers of the faithful came to the temple to perform Chando ceremonies. I too, when I was at the head temple in the past, performed Chando ceremonies and built memorial pagodas for ancestors once or twice every year for over 10 years. I performed Chando ceremonies every year. However, no matter how much I performed the Chando ceremony, the Chando was not successful, and I, along with my younger brother monk, reached the point of death. But fortunately, I somehow met the living Buddha, Yanghua Maitreya Buddha, who came to the Saba world and performed an ancestor Chando ceremony. Yanghua Maitreya Buddha only said one word, and I knew right there on the spot that the ancestor's Chando was completely done. And my younger brother monk, who was dying, and I have now recovered completely and are diligently spreading the enlightened Buddhism like this. Since then, I realized that the Chando ceremonies performed by monks do not achieve Chando at all. As a result of learning the enlightenment for over 10 years while sick in bed with an unusable body, I realized Chando ceremonies performed by monks absolutely do not achieve Chando. I once wondered, is there truly anyone in this world who can perform a Chando ceremony? Fortunately, I encountered the Yanghua Maitreya Buddha who came to the Saba world, and with just a single Chando ceremony, our ancestors received Chando, and both my fellow monk and I recovered our health and are now spreading the Dharma. So I realized that monks absolutely cannot lead even a single soul to Chando. For more than 10 years, while living at the temple, I performed Chando ceremonies once or twice daily in the morning and afternoon for the ancestors of the faithful. I spent a decade that way, yet none of the souls of those devotees' ancestors I sincerely conducted Chando for were actually granted Chando. Realizing this, I felt deep pity for the faithful. That is why I am now informing all Buddhists about the Yangkwa Maitreya Buddha who came to the Saba world. Back then, there was a female devotee I was very close with. She had studied the Dharma with me during the youth Buddhist meetings. One day, she was crying in the courtyard of the temple, saying that her daughter had gone mad and been admitted to a psychiatric hospital. Her daughter had gone mad. So I asked, "Did you try holding a Chando ceremony with the senior monk?" She said that she had, and kept doing more ceremonies, and the senior monk had told her to bring millions of won every month for 3 years. So she kept giving hundreds of thousands of won monthly, but her daughter wasn't getting better. That was what she told me. So, feeling too sorry for her, I brought her to the Yangkwa Maitreya Buddha who came to the Saba world. There, the Yangkwa Maitreya Buddha rubbed the crown of the head of the daughter, who had gone mad, with his hand, radiating the Buddha's enlightened light. When he rubbed the crown of the head of the mad daughter, she said the following. She said a spirit had been speaking to her constantly from behind her shoulder, but now the spirit had disappeared. The dark figure was no longer visible to her. After that, the daughter recovered. I met that female devotee again last year, and she told me that the other patients who had been in that hospital with her daughter were still insane there, even 10 years later. But only her daughter, after meeting the Yangkwa Maitreya Buddha, was cured, and now she has even graduated from university and found a job. Out of gratitude, the devotee said she wanted to offer a meal to the Yangkwa Maitreya Buddha, but he was too busy and declined, so she returned. Those so-called senior monks at temples, those rumored to be Buddhas, none of them, not a single monk across the nation, can ever lead even one soul to Chando. I have come to realize this through all my years of learning the Enlightenment. I have been learning for 30 years now. Monks can never perform Chando for the souls. Only the Yangkwa Maitreya Buddha, who came enlightened and emits the Buddha's enlightened light from his body, can perform Chando for the souls. The reason is that the Yangkwa Maitreya Buddha emits the Buddha's enlightened light from his body daily through light emission, and through that light, he extinguishes the bad karma of souls and can perform Chando. Now, all Buddhists nationwide who have heard what I said can discern and understand for themselves. Only an enlightened Buddha who radiates Buddha's enlightened light from his body can perform Chando. Many Buddhists now surely understand this. There are many people who are possessed now, but if they don't have the ability to remove the possessing spirit and perform Chando, then during the 49-day funeral ceremony or ancestral Chando ceremony, they absolutely cannot perform Chando. All the monks across the nation already know this. Monks all over the country already know that even if they perform Chando ceremonies for souls, they absolutely cannot lead them to Chando. Monks come to the Yangkwa Maitreya Buddha and confess this truthfully, saying, "I am a monk, I have a temple, and even though I've performed 6 to 8 heartfelt Chando ceremonies every year for over 10 years, not even one of my ancestors has been granted Chando. Please perform Chando for my ancestors." When the Yangkwa Maitreya Buddha performs Chando for the ancestors, it becomes immediately, right there, known. However, monks say the following. When lay believers bring requests for a Chando ceremony, they say, "I will perform the Chando ceremony." Therefore, I asked, knowing that you, yourself, could not even guide your ancestors, how could you take on the responsibility of guiding someone else's precious ancestors after accepting their request for a Chando ceremony? The money that the lay believers offer is earned through great difficulty. Trusting in Buddha, in the prestigious power of Buddha, and believing that monks, as disciples of Buddha, will help send their ancestors to a better place, the believers carry that ceremonial fee to the temple. Yet, if the monks already know that they cannot even guide their own ancestors, how could they possibly take responsibility for the believers' ancestors? When I raised this question, the answer I received was, without accepting the Chando ceremony fees, it is impossible to maintain the temple. To this I replied, What is the difference between the believer's ancestors and the monk's own parents, or the monk's deceased mother and father? If one considers the believer's parents and deceased ancestors as their own ancestors and parents, then a monk should never engage in such actions. Furthermore, because I know of the Yangqua Maitreya Buddha, who has appeared in this Saba world, and because the ancestors were guided through the Chando ceremony by the Yangqua Maitreya Buddha, my advice is that monks should guide any lay believers who visit their temples towards the Yangqua Maitreya Buddha. Just as the ancestors of the monk, including the monk's mother, father, grandmother, and grandfather, were guided by the Yangqua Maitreya Buddha and went to a better place, so too should the deceased parents of the lay believers who follow and trust the monk be guided to a better place through the Yangqua Maitreya Buddha. Only in this way will monks generate merit, and through that merit, when the time comes for them to pass on, they will also receive samsara. If one considers the mothers, fathers, or siblings of lay believers as one's own parents and siblings, then such actions would be impossible. Since I consider the parents of the lay believers to be as precious as my own father and mother, I cannot and will not take part in such actions. Until the final day of my life, I will work to spread the knowledge of the Yangqua Maitreya Buddha, who has appeared in this Saba world to the entire world. This is my mission, so that all Buddhists may guide their deceased parents through the Yangqua Maitreya Buddha and help them reach a good afterlife. That is what I said. Monks must practice with their conscience. They must not merely consider the believers as lay persons. If monks viewed the believers as their younger siblings, their mothers, or their sisters from within their familial ties, how could they take up a Chando ceremony, claiming that the impossible is possible? It is absolutely unacceptable. That is what I said. The reason I am sharing the message worldwide about the living Buddha Yangqua Maitreya Buddha appearing in the Saba world is solely for living beings. My purpose is to alleviate the suffering of living beings. Furthermore, it is my sincere wish to notify and guide all Buddhists throughout the nation so that the parents of living beings and believers may come to the Yangqua Maitreya Buddha, receive a truly good Chando ceremony, enter samsara, be reborn in the land of happiness, attain Buddhahood, and achieve non-birth and non-death. That is why I am undertaking this mission to spread the Dharma. The living Buddha Yangqua Maitreya Buddha has come to the Saba world. During that time, I personally filmed with a camera the Buddha's enlightened light radiating from the body of Yangqua Maitreya Buddha. When I captured the light of Yangqua Maitreya Buddha, I was so shocked that I could hardly breathe. When I filmed the moment when the Buddha emitted the light at the Ushnisha beads, as a mark that he had attained Buddhahood, the shock hit my head so strongly that I realized, the Buddha has come to the Saba world. I was so overwhelmed that I was nearly suffocated. So, I lay face down on the floor and could not regain my senses for a long time. In that state, I shouted inwardly, "To all the Buddhists across the nation, the Buddha has now come to the Saba world. The Buddha's enlightened light is shining from his body. He is emitting the light. Please come quickly and witness the living Buddha's light emission and learn the enlightened Dharma. You will attain Buddhahood." I shouted this over and over again, posting repeatedly on my blog. This is what I have been doing. For 10 years I have been posting and shouting on my blog, but now I will post videos instead. So I ask all Buddhists across the country to please click subscribe and like. Going forward, I will broadcast interviews about my monastic journey. Since I will share shocking monastic stories, I recommend that viewers of my YouTube channel take a dose of calming herbal medicine at 23 minutes and 29 seconds, and then watch. Thank you.